But like, are you really thinking about your users when you're designing? Ask yourself that question because I feel like most of you don't. What up, unicorns? It's your boy Eric Abram, and welcome to another Ugly Unicorns podcast. Yo, your boy's been out. Your boy's been out of commission for about 14 good ones. That's about 2 weeks if you didn't want to do the math. Yo, like I always say, I'm sorry. You guys know that I'm very, 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 very busy. I've been busy. As you guys know, I got a new job, so I've been doing that, doing a lot of like working out, hanging out with the wives, going to different places, eating ramen. Speaking of ramen, I'm gonna put a video out later in the week for that of this pretty cool place that we went to, like this Michelin star ramen place. And so I want to put a video out for that. Nothing too crazy. It's just her and I hanging out, eating some ramen. You know how we do. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, if I start coughing or drinking water in this particular podcast, man, I did not think I had allergies until I moved to Georgia. Sweet Christmas Eve. Do I like go to bed at night and like I'm coughing and it's just like my throat's very itchy. It's definitely the allergies. Like, oh my God, I did not realize I had that. And I don't want that. Okay. But anyways, hey guys, happy Unicorn Day. Hey, 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 hey. Honestly, I didn't even know it was National Unicorn Day until someone in my Ugly Unicorn Slack group said, "Hey, happy Unicorn Day." It really reminded me of this particular group. And I want to make sure that I give a shout out to her. So let me do this real quick. Hopefully that the video did not shut off. But I just want to give a shout out and I hope I don't butcher your name in the process because I have a thing of doing that. Yeah, it's gonna get butchered. Senya Lamachinto. You know what? It's you. I appreciate you. I really do appreciate you for shouting that out, Senya. I really hope I didn't mess your name up. Please don't leave the chat. Please don't leave the group. And speaking of the group, look, guys, we got about 32 members in the chat. 32 members. And like I said before, I'm only gonna be probably bringing in about 50. Let me actually move my thing up again because I exited out the video and now I have to fix it. So I appreciate you guys for holding on for that. But anyway, shout out to you for bringing this up. I didn't even know it was Unicorn Day. So now I'm doing a podcast on Unicorn Day, representing. Go to uglyunicorns.com. Make sure you pick up a shirt, a hat, whatever you want for Unicorns Day. I'm calling it Ugly Unicorn Day because that's what we do. But anyways, like I said before, in the Ugly Unicorns community Slack channel, yeah, we're getting a lot of good people coming in there. We're getting some more senior designers in there, so that's pretty nice. A lot of more mid-level designers coming in there, so that is really good to see that we're not only accepting the people who don't have much experience, but we're also accepting people who do have some experience in a particular field, which is amazing because now I have people in there that can answer questions that I might not have the answers to. And you all can do that in the first place. That's because you're a junior doesn't mean you don't know anything, right? And I don't know everything. I just don't. I don't claim to do. I don't claim to be. Excuse me. I gotta take some water. And that's how life is. When you got allergies, man, my throat is really scratchy. This might not be a good day to be doing a podcast. But anyways, but yeah, so happy National Unicorns Day to everybody. If you guys can tell, I got a new podcast set up now, as you can tell. I got a nice screen in the back. I'm scared to move because it's going to focus on the screen and not my face. This camera is, you got to do better, Canon. You got to do better. So we got the the setup for that. I'm so sorry. we got the setup for that particular monitor back there. If you want to see how I struggle bust through this whole like mounting this monitor onto my wall, please check out a video that's gonna be launching later on in the day. I'll probably like tag that in this video somehow. I don't know how this is gonna work. If I tag this one first and I upload the other one second, you won't be able to. You know what? I'm gonna put out both of these videos at the same time and just link them both together because, like, man, I had to really rip out the Bob Vila power tools and like the wrench set and everything like that to post this thing on the wall. It was just crazy. And like I said before, maybe I didn't mean it. Maybe I haven't said it before, but I got the new boom arm from actually this place called Gator Cases. Interesting fact about Gator Cases, your boy used to work there as a graphic designer. Isn't that crazy? Because I seen Joe Rogan, he was on there. It's like, oh, I've seen that product before. Oh, that's from Gator. And I'm seeing a lot of people around here who do podcasting. A lot of them are getting their like boom arm. This is not a sponsor or whatever for Gator Cases. I'm just letting you guys know. There's a lot of people out there using Gator Cases products. I'm just like, hey, that's pretty cool. Like I used to work there when I was in Tampa, Florida, and now they're like on Joe Rogan's podcast. Their products are out there. Like this is their frameworks tool, their frameworks product here. So I really like this boom arm because like now I can just move it around. I can be back here talking to you, off to the side, off to the side. I can move over here. I cannot be in focus on my camera at the same time. But yeah, I can like literally take my chair, sit it back, and be like talking on you guys like this. Like this is a chill podcast, yo. This is the podcast where I'm about to go to sleep because I'm very, very, very tired. But anyways, let me put my chair back. But yeah, so I really do enjoy this arm, man. It's pretty dope. It also allows me to just like move it around as I need to. Because like beforehand, I like to talk with my hands a lot. I talk with my hands a lot. And so like moving around like this, I was like in the old boom arm, it wasn't very strong. First of all, it wasn't even strong enough to hold this microphone. This microphone's about 2 pounds and that thing is not rated for that. And I had this whole janky setup to try to keep it straight up. And so now that I talk with my hands, as you can see, I'm doing Wing Chun over here. I think that's a martial art. And I'm not hitting anything. Aikido, whatever you want to do, jujitsu, karate. I'm doing all of it right now. If you can't see me, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, we are almost at 1,000 subs. Actually, almost at 900. I think the last time I checked, it was like 898. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you go do that. And also, if you haven't liked or rated the podcast 5 stars, make sure you do that as well. Wherever you go and get these podcasts, your boy is there. Your boy is there. And the ones I always call out the main ones, we got that Google one, we got that Apple one, and we got that Spotify one. And those are right here. Those are right there. So make sure you check that out. And also go to the uglyunicorns.com. Pick you up some Ugly Unicorns merch for Unicorn Day. Don't miss out on this opportunity to be a part of the squad. Come on, baby. All right, that was a little high pitch. Maybe I should never do that. But you thought I was joking. We got the Unicorns floaty. The floaty, bruh. This holds a... Is it even zoomed in? I don't think it... You know what? Trust me. It holds your drink. I'm gonna put it back here on the shelf. So now it will be forever in the podcast world. And if you guys want to send me some unicorn stuff, I'm more than happy to receive it. And I hope that this camera goes in focus so you can see me. And there we go. All right. This camera sucks some days. But anyways, how was everybody's week? How was everybody's 2 weeks for that matter? I feel like it's been a hot minute that I talked to you all. I know I talked to my chat. I try to talk to you guys anytime you guys have a question or want to ask me something. So I pretty much I'm in there most of the time. And if you guys want to make sure that you get in on that before the 50 cap gets in there, make sure you go to uglyunicorns.com, click on the join Slack group tab, and then put your and then just sign up there. And I'll let you in if you have a really good sob story. You don't need a sob story. Just a good story so I know like who you are. I have been letting people in with like really vague things, but I'm thinking I'm gonna stop doing that because I really want people in there who really want to be in there. So like if you don't have a compelling story to why you want to join, like don't even sign up because I want like people in there who really want to get help in this user experience thing, who really want to make connections with others in this user experience thing, and not just looking at it from their own like selfish needs, but actually like wanted to contribute to the user experience. It's like, how can I contribute if I don't have any user experience, experience? Like, well, what did you do before you did user experience? Like, what was your background? And how can you leverage that? Because like somebody at work today talked about like, hey Eric, I really want to learn from you on like, marketing and branding and stuff like that. Cause those are things that I've done in my past and those are things that I currently do. And so she wants to talk to me about those things. We're gonna have a conversation because I can offer something that I've done in my past, something that I'm doing currently to help her out, and vice versa. She can help me out with some things too. It's one of those back and forth type of relationships. And so, what I really wanted to talk about today is, are you really thinking about your users when you're designing your products? Think about that. Are you really thinking about your users when you are designing products? Or are you just designing things because they may look nice, they look pretty? I think it might look a little better if we do it this way. But is what you're thinking about doing? So sorry, guys. It's the allergies, man. My throat's very itchy. But like, are you really thinking about your users when you're designing? Ask yourself that question because I feel like most of you don't. And why do I say that? I'm not saying that to be mean or facetious, whatever those mean words are. I'm really thinking because a lot of people when they come into this whole user experience thing, all they can focus on is the UI design, worry about, I need to learn how to use Figma. I need to know how to use Sketch. I need to know how to use Adobe XD. I need to learn how to use all these different programs. Guys, that is not user experience. That is user interface design. And those are tools. Those are tools that you use to create the interface for all the work that you've done up to thus far. Like, like I always say, do not put so much emphasis in trying to learn design tools when you are new to user experience. And please stop lumping UX/UI design in your titles. Please stop doing it. Because, like I said before, if you were to actually say that out loud to yourself, without saying the UX, and UX is such a hot buzz thing that people don't really fully understand. It's just thrown around like freaking paint splatter on the wall. Whatever it hits, people accept. It's so weird that in every job that I've been at, people who don't know what user experience is just say the word UX and say, hey, we need to get some UX on this. Okay, what does that mean? So if you're saying we need to get some UX, we need to get some user experience on this, like one person in a job was like in a chat saying, "Hey, we have a UX issue on this," and I was like, "Hey, so and so, you have a user experience issue for this? Like, what is the problem?" Like, "Oh, the spacing is off in the app." I'm like, "So the spacing is off in the app. Is that a user experience problem or a spacing problem that a dev can fix in 5 minutes?" I need to know because like if you say there's a UX problem, I'm thinking like, oh man, there's something wrong with the flow, the functionality's off. There might be some weird interaction that we didn't account for, or a different path, or a user got stuck, or a user failed, and the user got an unsuccess message or a success message where they shouldn't have. They went on down a weird path. We took them to a different place. That's a user experience problem. Not that hey, the button pattern needs to be 16 pixels versus 14 pixels. Do not call my phone with that. Do not talk to me about that. Well, if you say there's a UX problem, I'm going to say, "Oh, there's a user experience problem. I need to go take a look at that. But you just say there's a UX problem and it pertains to spacing of a button. I'm just like, bruh, that is not a UX problem. That is a dev issue. That is a dev bug. Like you need to go hit up a dev and say like, hey, the button spacing is off. QA flagged it, and there you go. But don't just say like in the chat, like we got a UX problem. To me, my freaking spider sense to go off of my head. I'm like, oh, I gotta go jump on this. When I actually didn't even need to, because when I dug in a little deeper and asked a little bit more questions, it wasn't even a problem at all. So that's why like being able to like really clearly get a definition of what UX is, which is user experience, and what UI is what user interface design is, because like nobody says they're a UX UI researcher, product designer, strategist, all in one title, because that doesn't make any freaking sense, right? You wouldn't lump in all those things together, but guess what you do as a user experience designer? All those things I just mentioned. Those are things that you do. And so like when people slam in all these different titles together, like UX/UI, please stop doing that, man. Either you're a user experience designer or not. Okay. Just know this hybrid crap that's going on, because you're doing a lot of things. You're doing, as far as me, now I have a new title called product designer, which I'm still very confused on, but hey, I'll take it. It's still essentially just a user experience designer, where like you're looking at the process from start to finish. You're still thinking about your users. You're still thinking about this business. You're still thinking about dev and technology. So it's still all the same thing, I feel. There might be some nuances in there, but some people might say like, oh, product designers focus more on the business side of things. Well, I can see that could be in a thing, but at the same time, you still have to start with the users, because those are the people who are using your product. You don't want to get to this situation where you're building a product and now you're so marketing focused and so sales focused. You're trying to shove this product down people's throats and not really talk about the value of it. You're just offering like benefits, like this benefit, this benefit, this benefit. Like, is it really beneficial to the user, or do you just make that up? Like we gotta know. And so, yeah, that's my rant on that. But like honestly, when you guys are designing, are you really thinking about your users when you're designing these products? Because I see tons of situations and tons of scenarios with people who are creating these products, creating these visual designs, et cetera, et cetera. They're not really thinking about the ramifications of those particular changes. Like if you change a certain icon from being a word, change a word from being an icon, like does it really make sense? Like, for example, at a job where this is X icon, right? That's being used and floating around to like close out of a window. There's also a button at the bottom. But, is it really clear to the user that this X is doing whatever they assume that it's doing? Because an X icon can equal, closing. It can mean cancel. It can mean go back. It can mean a lot of different things that the user is not really necessarily understanding what this is, because it's not really clearly defined, right? So using like arbitrary icons to do the job of something that a label was doing is taking a step back, I feel, because like you're not really considering like, hey, is this clear to the user that this particular X icon does this particular function? Is it really clear that this little button does this, or this icon really does this, or this represents this? Like, we have to remember, like, people need direction. People need to be led, and you need to be able to like do that in a clean way that is understandable for them. So that's where you go into these whole hot topics of like research and making sure like if what we're creating is that we think is confusing to a user, we might need to go and test that. So like take your concept from that you're working on currently versus the current in-flight status, and see if it actually is confusing to users. Cause like at the end of the day, like I can say, oh, that X icon, it's dumb. It doesn't really work. It's not really clear. It's not really necessary. Like if I go and test that with users and that's something that they, they find, useful, then we're going to go with the X icon, but they don't. They really don't. So like, just make sure you test your ideas and your designs and do these preference tests, man. Like preference tests? Tests? Do a preference test, like to really try to figure out what do users really prefer in their like in the particular app? Like what do users find valuable within this particular app? I've done a bunch of preference tests. I've done all sorts of things like that. And it really also helps to gain an understanding of like where your users' heads are. Because you could come into a situation where like, oh, I think we should do this, this, and this. And somebody else is like, well, I think we should do this, this, and this, and this. And you're like, okay, let's just test all those this, and thises and get it out in front of actual users. So one, we can understand if what we're creating is a great experience for them, what experience do the users actually prefer and want to use, and also stop this stupid damn argument that we're having because it's unnecessary. I hate going into meetings and we're arguing about button colors and we're arguing about icons and we're arguing about there's really low level things that don't really help, bring the user through an actual process or flow. Like if you were to take that thing and strip all the colors out, what do you have to bring to the conversation now? You don't have anything to bring to the conversation because you're not really thinking about the actual user and how things are actually flowing and what that process is going to look like. We are in the job. Yes. Look, don't get me twisted. Visual design it's nice. It's beautiful. It's delightful. If you do it right, it can really help your user experience. Notice I said help your user experience, not the user experience. Because you need to get all those things, all those foundational things in place first. You got to make sure that one, it's functional, it works. Users can go through the process without having any or minimal friction points. And then you add the cherry on top, which is that nice visual design, that nice delight, interactions, and things like that. Because we want our app to be, we don't want our app to be ugly but functional. We also don't want our app to be pretty and unfunctional. So that's why you need the two, right? That's why the two they go so well together. And I think that's why people get this thing mixed up where they like, oh, they just try to smash UI and UX into the same lane. Look, UI is a subset of user experience. I am not a UI designer, but guess what I do at work? I do UI design. I am not a UX researcher, but guess what I do at work? I do UX research. Am I a UI UX researcher, strategist person? No, I'm a product designer. I'm a senior product designer, and I do all gambit of things. I do a gambit of things. And not only do I do visual design or user experience, I also host workshops to help get people on the same freaking page. I did an alignment workshop this week and it went pretty well. I thought it went pretty well. Like we got everybody on the same page for now, and we'll see what comes out of it. I gotta put together a deck to like refine and design, refine everything that was put it on. We went through the exercises. Everybody did their voting, et cetera, et cetera. There are people in there from all walks of life, from all different parts, but all different departments. So having a gambit of people in in that workshop really did help try to bring everybody in on the same page. There's representatives of each different type of department. Maybe not QA. Sorry, QA, you weren't in that one. Maybe on the next one you will be. I'm so sorry. Don't hurt me. But yeah, so look, I like QA. QA is awesome, but QA. But yeah, no, QA, I'm just joking. QA is cool, man. They really find problems and bugs into the system that really does help us out. So shouts out to QA, man. Shouts out to all those who are working hard, going through that application, finding issues in the program, finding bugs, and really making sure that, hey, this don't line up, bruh. Y'all need to go back and fix this. Shouts out to QA. Without y'all, our app will have so many problems. So shouts out to QA, man. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So the reason why I bring this up is because there's this whole thing about, when people don't really know about what user experience is, they automatically gravitate towards like really only looking at the visual parts of the application, right? And so you get a lot of people who are new into user experience, and they start going on these websites like Dribble, is Dribble the only one? Oh, Behance is another one. Like really looking at, these UI porn. I don't know other way to say it, but like these really, really nice UI designs, like very pretty, very lustrous, very unusable shit that's been placed on these websites. I'm so sorry to say it, but like there's no context there. There's no documentation there. I don't know why they made certain decisions. Why they go with this button color? Who they test this with? Did it even work? Are users confused? Do users understand that this, what's that? The isom and the button colors is like it's white, but it's just a shadow with this the I forget the name of this, and I probably should remember, but I probably shouldn't because I hate that style of work. But anyway, does it have a lot of contrast? Did they do it? Are they taking into account accessibility? Probably not. Are they taking into account other languages being placed into this particular app? Like, what happens if you put German into the app now? Now you're freaking now your word went from this big to this big. Like, real talk, bruh. Like, you got to think about those different types of things. And those are things that most people do not consider when they are building an experience for a particular user or business or subset of whatever the hell you're making. Do not take into account all the things that go into it that are not visual treatments. And you got to do a lot of legwork up front to even get to this visual design part. But most people want to jump straight to the visual design part. I'm just like, whoa, 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 player, hold your horses before you start putting together nice mock-ups and prototypes. Let's get some ideas on paper. Let's get the persona together. Oh, okay, who we designing for? Okay, we got that. Bang, good. Let's put together a flow together, either a user journey, a task flow, like map these things out, card sorting, wireframe, information architecture. Like, what are we doing? Site mapping, all those different things you have to do before you go into the UI design, the visual design. And that's why I say, like, hey, are you guys really thinking about your users when you go to design these nice, pretty mock-ups? Because there's no context to when I see these pretty designs on Dribble, these pretty designs on Behance, even these pretty designs on Instagram and LinkedIn. Like, these people are starting to post there too, confusing everybody. Like, oh, this is UX design? Stop it. That's not UX design. That's UI design. And also too, on what I've been seeing on LinkedIn too, is like people would show these like before and after things of like before UX, after UX. I'm just like, what are you trying to do? What are you achieving? What was the goal? Who did you test this with? How'd you come to the decision? I have a slew of questions I want to ask this person, but I can't because they don't know what they doing. Like, really, before and after UX, what does that mean? What the Sorry, what the hell does that mean? You mean before UI and then after UI? Because there was no UX involved into that process. And a lot of people grab onto that and think that it's gold. Like, oh, this is UX because it clearly said UX. I'm like, that's not UX, buddy. That's UI design. So they should really check themselves and say like, hey, before UI design, after UI design. And then I can be like, clap, 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 clap. Yes, context is here. They're just doing a UI design test. They want to see what's more visually appealing. Okay, the one after is more visually appealing. Thank you. But that's all you're getting. That's all you are getting in form context. It's like, is it pretty or not? And that's all they're focusing on is it visually stimulating or not? That doesn't mean that it's going to work into your app. I can beat a dead horse on this topic. I know I keep talking about it, but I'm so serious. Like, what are you guys doing? Ask yourself these questions. What are you guys doing? Why are you guys making mock-ups without actually doing all the work, all the legwork before? Why are you guys not doing your sketches? Why are you guys not doing your wireframes? I'm talking about grayscale, blue scale wireframes. Like, really trying to figure out the idea, really trying to figure out the process, the layout, and different things like that. You guys are skipping to the end of the line. What are you doing? You can't skip to the end of the line because you missed everything else. And now when somebody questions you or asks you a really hard question, you can't answer it because you really didn't think through the process. You really didn't think through the flow. You really didn't think about your users. You really didn't think about this scenario, that scenario. I don't want to get into edge cases. Don't get me down that freaking rabbit hole where people just want to come into a conversation. You know what? Right now, let's just get into it. All right. Edge cases. Look, I'm not going to get into it too fully. I'm just going to just speak on it for a second. Edge cases are real. Do not get me wrong. And we can't just show happy path flow, happy path flow, happy path flow. I understand that. There is going to be a situation where a user is going to deviate from this particular path. But when I'm in a meeting, guys, please do not only present edge case after edge case after edge case after edge case. Because then I'm going to be like, what data did you get that from? What data are you pulling this from? What data are you pulling this from? Because if we have our data out of 100 folks, out of 100%, right? And you're bringing an edge case that affects maybe 0% or 1% or 2% of users, I'm not going to listen to you because man, it doesn't affect everybody. It doesn't affect the majority. I don't want to, somebody said in the last, like, we don't need to build for the 2%. We need to build for the 98%. And some of that I like, except for accessibility. For accessibility, you have to build for that. You have to take into account everyone. But edge cases, do we really want to build an edge case, a 2% edge case, put all this time, money, resources into it that only affects the 2%? Do we want to do that? And if we do that, how much money will the business get back from that particular thing that we just did? How much ROI are we getting back from doing this? Think about that. Or if we build something for the 98%, how much ROI will we get back from that? So if we build for the 98%, a very positive experience, we get 50% back on our investment. Is that worth it? Or if we build for the 2% and get possibly nothing back on that investment, is that worth it? Like, we got to think about this. So edge cases, look, they're good to know. They're good to have. They're good to understand. But I don't think that you should purely build for edge cases all the talk. So yeah, this is where the qualitative and quantitative data comes into play and really driving the two together. Like, talk to your data scientists, your data analysts, and really understand, okay, we have this many people doing this, this, and this. And then you go to your qualitative mind and say, well, why is this happening? That's when you start talking to users, getting that information in front of them, really understanding, like, okay, we've seen that this many people are not signing up for a particular program, but why are they not signing up for this particular program? Okay, let's actually talk to users and understand why they're not signing up for this particular program. You can't say that, oh, people aren't signing up because of a button. People aren't signing up because of the copy. People aren't signing up because of the button. Did I say button? Particular icon, and this and that, and this and that, and really get into these stupid conversations, these unthought-provoking arguments, instead of just saying, like, hey, these many people are not signing up. We need to understand why, and not really trying to find a solution, but actually talk to the people who can give us a solution. Those are the users. I know time is money and money is time, but at the same time, if you talk to people who did not sign up for the program and understand why they didn't sign up, then you can probably go and fix it. So maybe it's not the button. Maybe it's not the copy. Maybe it's the offer you're offering them is not that enticing. And maybe they don't understand what you're offering them. Maybe they don't drink these particular, maybe they don't eat this particular, maybe they don't do this particular, maybe they don't want to go to this particular thing. So you gotta think about those things when you think about your process when you're driving these experiences. And so I want to challenge everybody that's listening to this podcast and everybody in my UX community. Shout out to the 32 of you guys. Oh, 31 or 32. We're 32 right now and capping it at 50. So just remember that. So Next time you're hearing this and we're at 50, I'm cutting it off. I'm removing the link from the website and nobody's going to be able to join again. Unless somebody leaves. And if somebody leaves, then I'll send the link back out to put it back at 50. But anyways, I want to challenge you guys to really, 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 really think about your users when you're designing a product. Like, hey, think about this. This product ain't for you, bruh. It ain't for you. So don't get married to your ideas, for one. Don't get butthurt when people want to make suggestions and offer solutions, for two, because it's not about you, right? You're there to be an advocate for the user and really push the narrative for them to really help them get through the application, to really understand the application, really understand the product that you're building. Because it's really never about you, right? Think about it. So you are only there to be an advocate for the user because nobody else is. You're the sounding board, the sounding whatever the hell, to say like, hey, that doesn't make sense for a user. Would a user actually do this? Like really questioning everything. And people are like, yeah, you're probably right. We probably should really consider the user in this particular. No shit. We should always consider the user within this. Even with working with devs, like you even got to make them consider the user with this because devs are really good at building things and really getting things out the door. I'm not going to say they're not necessarily thinking about the user, but they're really thinking about getting things done, getting things built. They as fast and effective and efficiently as possible. Devs do not want to recreate buttons over and over. Devs do not want to recreate cars over and over. They want to be able to build it once and reuse it twice. Build it once, reuse it 88 times. And that's what you need to be thinking about too. Also, thinking about the user is really thinking about how are the devs going to be able to accomplish what you are building. That is another thing that you have to consider. We always talked about the user. Yes, that's great. But the devs are your sidekicks. They're your Batman to your Robin. You know what I'm saying? They're the people who are going to take what you've dreamed about, your vision, and try to go make it work. So like there's one scenario where you can build an application, it looks pretty, you test with users, and users really enjoy it. But there's another side, the dark side of the moon. The other side of the moon is, yes, thank you, user experience designer. You made a pretty experience. People really enjoyed it. But guess what? We can't build that shit because it's not even possible. You're like, wait. Why is it not possible? Because there's a thing called technical constraints. There's a thing called technical feasibility. There's a thing called we don't have this particular technology to achieve what you are trying to achieve. They might not have the technology. They might not have the actual people in-house that can do that. It's a lot of different factors you have to consider. And that's why, being able to interact with your devs at the same time, it's like, hey, what's possible? What's feasible? What can we do? Because we really want to get this process done. We really want to get this thing out the door. So yes, that's where it comes into marrying the two. And guess what? The business will benefit from all that because now we can build what users want. They understand it. We can go ahead and get as close as possible to the design. People really like it. People really resonate with it. People can get through without any friction points or minimal friction points. And the business is like, hey, how we make money from this now? We have a really good product. So that's what I want to say to you guys, like on this wonderful, wonderful National Unicorn Day, is to make sure that you are really, really considering not your designers, really, really considering your users when you are designing things. Like really question everything and ask yourself, like, hey, does this make sense? Does this process make sense? Does this flow make sense? What happens if the user taps this? What happens if this? Like, those are things that you yourself need to be thinking about. Then you need to go ahead and build for that and design for that. Actually, not build for that, unless you're a developer / designer. That's pretty cool. You're very valuable. You're more of a unicorn than I. Ha ha! Unicorn. See how I slipped that in there? I always do that. Anyway, so make sure that you're not just designing pretty things for the sake of designing pretty things. And also too, like when you go to a portfolio review, that's going to be noticed. If you can't really properly explain your process when you go into these interviews, really like really explain your process and your thinking and how you got to this particular solution and some of the legwork that you've done, you're gonna get called out on that pretty freaking quickly. We're gonna understand like, oh, this person's not even a UX designer at all. They're a UI designer trying to be a UX designer, or they're a graphic designer trying to be a UX designer. I can, I can, I can sniff it out like a Dotson in the living room eating food. I can sniff it out because it's gonna show that you don't know what you're talking about because all you could focus on was learning Figma. All you could focus on was like trying to get good at UI design because you completely neglected the research part of it. You completely neglected the user part of it because you did no surveys, no studies, no card sorting, no interviews, no nothing. You just made it, no preface testing, no nothing. You just made something. It looked pretty. You went on Dribble. You seen a design that you really like for a sign up page, and you just made it. Dribble is not a good place to go and get design inspiration from for as far as like how things need to go and function. I would recommend going to like Mobbin or someplace like that because those are screenshots from apps that are currently in flight that are in the app store that you probably use every day. Example, Lyft, example, ClassPass, example, Uber. Those type of apps have gone through the freaking ringer of UX and research and studies and documentation and everything like that. Those are that is one place. I wish there was a second one I could recommend, but Mobbin is like, you should really go and check that particular place out to really see the different types of patterns being used in these user interfaces because those patterns have been through the ringer when it comes to all the things I just mentioned. So you can rest assured that you could get pretty close to a solution that you're trying to achieve. There's definitely going to be some things that's not 100%. So you need to make sure that you adapt to what you need to adapt your app to. So just remember that. To stop going to Dribble, stop going to Behance because those are places with fugazi designs, with very blue sky, designs because they're not really backed by much information. Like how many times have you gone to some of these websites? You're like, why'd you guys do that? Where's the documentation for that? Where's the research for that? Because there is none. So I don't know why you guys would copy designs from people who don't know how to do proper UX. Why would you do that? They're basically works of art. They're pretty works of art in a form of a phone with buttons and inputs and gradients, etc. Stop doing it. I'm not saying that Dribble and Behance are off limits. I'm just saying limit your exposure to bad shit. Just limit your exposure, man. If you're going to look at some apps, look at big companies who have put millions upon millions of dollars into their business for product design, for research, for UX, for product, for UI, for all that. They put millions behind it. Not some guy who just left design school and made a pretty phone app design. And you're like, oh, I really like the colors. That's it? The colors? Okay. Have fun. Have fun. Have fun with that. All right. I'm going to end my rant. I'm hungry. It's Friday. Is it Friday? Yes, it's Friday. And it's time to go eat some food. Eat some food. I don't know what we're doing this weekend, but hope everybody had a really great week. I really hope you have a really good next week. Keep up the UXing, man. Make sure you're doing proper UX and don't try to take any shortcuts in this game because people that take shortcuts end up getting lost in the woods. So just make sure that you take a path that is going to be the most beneficial for you and your outcome. And I appreciate everybody for listening today. Happy National Ugly Unicorns Day. And I really hope that you guys continue to support the channel by liking and subscribing to it. It definitely really helped. I think the last video that really got a lot of views was, senior product designer show you how to do a whiteboard challenge. I got a lot of positive feedback from that. And I think it helped out a lot of people. So if you haven't already, make sure you check that video out. And a few other things that's going to be coming out of pipeline. They're just trying to put out the door. I have a lot of video content. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm trying to make it all make sense, but you know what? do I really need to have it make sense? Like, it's just YouTube. Like, put out what you need to put out. You know, some people bog themselves down by like, oh, I gotta tell a story. Oh, it has to be cinematic. Oh, it has to go step by step. Like, I'm basically talking about myself, but I'm that person. I'm that person struggling. So don't be like me. Be better than me. Be better than me. All right, guys. This has been the podcast. Make sure you check it out, uglyunicorns.com. I wish I would have put up my sound dampening because there's a lot of echo in here, but whatever. We're making it work. The microphone's a lot good. A lot good? A lot better. English, not my best. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. And like I always say, don't just be a unicorn, be an ugly unicorn.